So this will be last panel for today. Okay. We have a keynote from AT&T, also from Mavenir. And we see this really the time to move ahead with the open run for private and the public networks. So in this panel, we will discuss about how we can move faster enough. Okay. First, I would like our panelists to introduce themselves. Okay. Dr. Jia.
Yes, good morning. Good afternoon. I'm coming from Chunghwa Telecom. Chunghwa Telecom right now in Taiwan has a fixed network, broadband, and also mobile network. And three years ago, that Chunghwa Telecom has received a project from government, Taiwan government, NDC, for development of 5G Open RAN. So for Chunghwa Telecom point of view, not only for operator point of view, like for Taiwan country point of view, like we need to promote Taiwan 5G Open RAN vendor to stay in Taiwan and go overseas to work. That's our job. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I didn't introduce myself last time deliberately because I knew I'd get the opportunity here. So now I'm going to show my age. So I've been in the radio industry since Generation 1 Mobile. I've been through Gen 2 with GSM and right the way through. I built the first GSM network in California, Nevada for Pac-Bell back in '96, I think it was. A lot of experience in the technology side and the operator side in terms of building mobile networks. And this whole Open RAN piece has sort of really bugged my career, if you like, and been a passion to open that radio interface when it became locked down back in, I think, about 2015, with the coalition of closed operators that really tried to shut down the interfaces to mobile networks. But I think if you look at the industry today, I'm sort of proud in the sense of I've been to like the O-RAN Alliance in Korea last week, and there were 300 people there supporting specifications. I was at the O-RAN Summit yesterday in Taiwan here, and there must have been like 200 people in the room. And you can say, look, how does this has grown in 5 years to become a really solid industry, and it's not going away. And I'm sort of passionate, in the sense of I think it's happened, and pleased to be a part of it.
Yeah, Audi.
All right. So Olli Andersson from Telecom Infra Project, TIP. So TIP is an industry association with the mission to advance open and disaggregated technologies. And actually Open RAN has been a big part of what TIP has been traditionally doing and will do in the future. Via TIP, we have been facilitating many of the international Open RAN trials, early integrations, early pilots, and POCs all around the world. We've been lucky to work very closely with Taiwan over the years. So ITRI has been our great partner here locally, facilitating the local Taiwanese ecosystem, both from a vendor and operator side. And we are very pleased to continue that collaboration here locally, and also hopefully give opportunities for Taiwanese companies to enter overseas markets as well. But maybe I'll hand over to Jerry.
Yeah, thank you. Jerry Cheng with MTI. MTI is the leader in Open RAN radio design and manufacturing, and we've been in the RF business for 42 years. We're celebrating our 43 this year, and we've been delivering remote radio heads for 15 years. And as John mentioned earlier, we were actually the first radio to integrate with Mavenir in 2018, actually, John. So 2019 was the Evenstar radio. That was the 4T4 that is widely adopted today. And we've shipped over 30,000 Open RAN radios today, and that's not including the legacy radios, which is over 200,000. So I think we have a pretty good track record, and that removes a lot of the concerns of operators who's wanting to adopt Open RAN. So we like to keep Open RAN alive. I think it is pretty much very much alive, and we want to be part of the Open RAN journey. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So the first question I will raise to Dr. Jia. Yeah, we from previous panel we learned something from the emerging operator. Okay. Now as a brownfield operator, Chunghwa Telecom, what's the initiative and the best or biggest draw to adopt the Open RAN?
Okay, thank you. It's very hard for Open RAN development from Taiwan. We know that this is still a very long way to go, as Firestone and Taiwan Mobile said. Right now, 5G Open RAN is not mature. In truly, is right. But if we don't have a little step, we cannot have a big step. So 3 years ago, Taiwan government gave a project to Chunghwa Telecom to say that you need to provide some environment, to provide some lab. So for the lab, we engage with Yaodeng. They are ORAN authenticator center in Taiwan. And we provide a lab for them, for all 5G Open RAN vendor to have a test environment. But why Chunghwa Telecom need to do that? Because Taiwan government has 35% of stock on Chunghwa Telecom. Okay. So for operator point of view, that maybe we don't need to do that. But for Taiwan national high point of view, that we need to do that. And the second, we permit another lab in our TL in Zhongli. When the vendor pass Yaodeng lab for ORAN, all test case, they also need to take their equipment to TL lab to pass end-to-end, including 24 hours reliability in TL. And then we need to find some POC area for them. So right now, more than 20 POC area field for Taiwan Open RAN vendor. Let me say something. Okay. I forget the name, and I need to say all of them, including Pegatron, Compro, HTC, QCT, Sercom, ASCII, WNC, Innotech, Lion, D-Link, Alpha, Lions, Wisdom, and Fastone. Okay, Foxconn. And there are 40 Taiwan vendor in TL lab. Also, we buy so many core to integrate with them, including Ericsson core, Nokia core, Microsoft core, and Cisco core, and also Taiwan core, and Savia and ATA to integrate with all Taiwan ORAN vendor. So that's our job. Chunghwa Telecom has provision, and we have a challenge, and also we position ourselves as the leader in Taiwan Mobile. We want to give some lab and some area for Taiwan 5G Open RAN vendor to work together, step in Taiwan and go to overseas. So I think we have some award that we want all Taiwan ORAN vendor work together with Chunghwa Telecom. We will go with also with you. I think today many Taiwan ORAN vendor come here. So Chunghwa Telecom is willing to help you to step in Taiwan and go overseas. For NDC project in Taiwan, it's free to test in our lab. It's free, totally free. So, okay, it's very difficult for us, no matter the cost, okay, right now. But if there is no NDC provide, Chunghwa Telecom will not achieve it very easy. So we help all 5G vendor and we need to thanks to our Taiwan government. This is 中华台湾 point of view. Thank you.
Yeah. So in addition to the funding, the IoT and the POC is really critical, but it really works. So, yeah. Next question. We know TIP has a broadened eyes to see all projects. So would you mind share with us your view about the readiness of OpenRAN?
Yeah, so from my perspective, OpenRAN clearly is ready for acceleration. I think what the community and our membership base really need is scale on opportunities, and you know, having opportunities to actually go to the field, actually prove out that OpenRAN works as it should be, and it's even better than the traditional architecture that might be there as an incumbent technology. But to do that, we actually need all stakeholders together. We need the public side and the governments to participate and hopefully act as a catalyst in many markets. We need industry associations and our standardization team at ORAN Alliance to keep up the good work, and naturally all the maybe the micro local ecosystems that can facilitate faster deployments, like here in Taiwan.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. And Jerry, would you mind share something from MTI view?
Sure. So we know OpenRAN's been proven, right? There's 2 greenfields or 3 greenfields that's already deployed. So we're done in that sense. So now what we need to do to accelerate is to have the brownfields really considered, start planning, testing, and deploying at small scale to start with, to build the confidence. And if we look at a few major operators, I don't want to name the operator, but it's going to take anywhere between 5 to 10 years to transform the network. And I think in this sense, the greenfields don't have that burden, right? So the brownfields, they really need to start planning. Otherwise, when that when that killer app that has to do with AI is here, your network's probably not going to be ready for it. So I think in terms of technical-wise, OpenRAN is ready. We have a strong ecosystem. There's a bunch of innovation coming in. What the brownfield really need to do is to rethink their approach on their network, and not just OpenRAN. The overall modernization of their network.
Okay, John, I think we needed your comments on this.
Yeah, I think as I've shown in the previous presentation, that OpenRAN is there. It's scalable. From a technology perspective, I think the one challenge that exists in the industry is actually one more to do with financing of scale, and how companies can fund some of these projects. And if you look at the ecosystem and look at the the 150 odd companies that are in the ecosystem, a lot of them are startups, a lot of them are small, mid-sized companies, and some of these projects really take some financing to put them in place. And certain countries are actually assisting with government loans, essentially directly to projects. Other countries are, like the US, are, through Exim Bank, and others are assisting, guaranteeing loans. But a lot of the companies that are coming through are leveraged with a lot of debt. So, just purely because of their makeup as being startup companies, etc. Not from a negative perspective. It's just the way companies are structured, and to that extent, there needs to be a way to, finance actually the silicon purchases, and it's really the silicon that is used in the servers and the radio units that needs to be, financed for about a period of 2 years, because generally from the day you order silicon to the time that the operator actually pays for it is about a 2-year period. And that's the challenge, is how do you get the silicon industry to wait 2 years to be paid, and that's a tough one. And hopefully your influence in Taiwan can make it happen, but that's our dream.
Yeah, okay. And Jerry, can you share some successful cases or for us from your experience, and tell us what's the critical successful factors?
Yeah, so the three green fields that I mentioned, MTI's radio is actually in two of them, and this requires a partnership. Very close hand-holding with a partner like Mavenir. We always integrate. We always align our answering Tom and Luke's question, right? We're always integrated forever, right? So I think in terms of O-RAN readiness, MTI is integrated with 8 different CUDUs, and we released the same software to all of them almost at the same time. And any new CUDU vendor coming along, they would ask, to use our radio. It really shows the O-RAN readiness. So I think just from our two deployment case, we're always building our test capabilities. Our end-to-end lab just in MTI is growing. It's a bunch of features we 2-3 years ago we were not able to do. But now we have more test capabilities before even releasing the software to the CUDU vendor, where they're seeing a lot of improvement in the quality of the software drops that we release. So by the time the operator gets our end-to-end set up, there's only so much test that's needed. If anything, it's ready to go. So I think that is the model that we need to continue to work with to make sure that the vendors work very closely together to make sure that Open RAN is successful. And to another point earlier, there is no finger pointing, right? With the right partners, we sit down and we figure it out, right? Before even delivering.
Okay. Dr. Chia, do you have something to share with us?
I want to mention that we have 40 5G O-RAN vendors right now tested in Yaoden Lab and also TO Lab. And right now, even they worked for more than 3 years, and we have 6 vendors pass all of the criteria we have set, only 6. So still have 8 5G O-RAN vendors need to work harder. And but even 6 O-RAN vendor has passed all tests. When they go to the live network for POC, there's still some problem for reliability, for performance, for interactive tests, for new function they have. So we still have a lot of work to need to go. So, but if you don't have the little step for working hard, you don't have a big step of success. So I believe that maybe 5G Open RAN, maybe you could be successful in the future, but maybe not, like WiMAX. Okay, so we hoped it can successful, but if it does not, okay, at least we work hard together. Thank you.
Hope it's not like WiMAX. No, I sort of follow on with that, and I think sometimes the only people making money out of Open RAN at the moment are the test equipment manufacturers. But I think the one thing that's through our learning experience, it's not about necessarily the test equipment, what the test equipment manufacturers supply. The test equipment manufacturers supply what I call is happy testing, right? And so they do conformance testing against the specification. The bigger challenge with integration for O-RAN is actually the negative testing. And actually, from a Mavenir perspective now, we've got over 2,000 test cases that we use for negative testing of the system. Right. So, just things like what happens when the power goes off, right? What happens when, the radio doesn't talk home, and all the operational issues that actually are not covered anywhere in the specifications, and it's really down to bitter experience. And I think that's the challenge, is how does that experience get across into the community that can be used in a better way?
Yeah, maybe just to add on what John said, so that's actually based on then an experience that when you have a field problem at the late stage, coming to a stupid bug, it will cost you so much money, and it's better to resolve some of those issues up front, and I think that's a good direction what this industry is going with the non-functional and negative testing, because it will actually eventually increase the confidence of the solutions and and then overall increase the maturity as well.
Jerry's actually worn his trousers out climbing up towers to retrieve radios. So.
Okay. Jack, would you mind share about a T-Mobile case? I'm quite interested on this one.
In
T-Mobile.
So T-Mobile, it's actually Deutsche Telekom in Germany. So T-Mobile in the US yet hasn't made a decision, so we're waiting to get that one sorted out. But in Deutsche Telekom, we actually took the Deutsche Telekom journey has been quite a long journey where we started probably 5-6 years ago in being a part of the O-RAN Town initiative, and it was actually the first massive MIMO deployments where we actually partnered with NEC on their massive MIMO projects. With Deutsche Telekom, it's also not just about the O-RAN boxes itself, the network functions of CU, DU, RU. It's about integration into their existing network management systems and all the other support systems that go around that. But as a result of that, Mavenir won contract for all of the Deutsche Telekom properties outside of Germany.
Yes.
And those deployments are now underway. So, Deutsche Telekom is, probably one of the heaviest, dare I say it, probably an autocratic operator in the sense of the things that you need to get done to become a supplier to Deutsche Telekom. That's now underway, and with the replacement of some of the Huawei networks that are in Europe.
Oh, okay, thank you. Yeah. Next question to Dr. Jia. To introduce Open RAN or O-RAN to your network, it could be quite challenging in different domains. Would you mind share with us what could be the challenges you are facing with?
Okay. In general, in truly, that's in my point of view that right now we know the O-RAN, the pricing is higher, and also the reliability and the function is not compared to the commercial like Ericsson and Nokia is not enough. We know that, but we still have some POC area for 5G private network. As my colleague said that we have more than 20 POC field area in Taiwan. The application, as my colleague said that we use HTC O-RAN in some cultural area, and for WNC for a cultural museum, and for Pekatron for exhibition hall, and also we use ASCII in the smart traffic, and also QCT in the smart factory, and also Campo in 5G smart pole. So we still have many applications. We want give Taiwan 5G O-RAN vendor have some POC failure, and when they have the lab, and also they have the field test, and they can test and verify their function, and improve day by day. And I think one day they will go overseas to find new commercial business. That's we hoped. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So it seems the cost could be depends on the scale, right?
Yeah, sure.
Or quantity. Yeah. So not necessarily now is high, but in the future it could be low enough. Yeah, if the scale is coming. Right. The function feature-wise, it will be time to fix it, right? Or by you make a standard, even it will be easier. Okay.
Right now, 5G O-RAN is, Tom said that it's still very, very high right now. Okay. So we need to go harder.
But look into that if AT&T, Verizon, NTT, Docomo,
sure.
moving in this way in the future, I believe this will not be the future. Yeah, it will go to the right level, and the benefit will be happen. Yeah, and John?
Yeah, no, I'll probably jump on this cost one because it's another one of my pet subjects, and it's actually the silicon industry that's causing the problem. The way the silicon industry prices chips for supplier, for vendors, is on a one-off basis. In reality, a slice is a slice, and they should be selling that slice to the same price to everybody. And that's actually what's distorting the pricing of components depending on how many you buy. And it's a volume-based thing, but in reality, it's an archaic method of pricing slices, and I'm probably going to get told off for saying that, and I'm in the wrong country for saying it probably. But you know, silicon is the core, you know, is the challenge, and how do you get the silicon prices down to a level that you know, really makes sense for the industry? And in that sense, you know, that problem has got to be solved along with the vendor financing issue, and I think then the market will take off.
Oh, okay. And then already do you have some information about the future projecting of the scale or operator to adopt OpenRAN?
So I think I sort of tried to point to it in the slide, you know, in the presentation there, where you know, I personally believe we're right at the front end of a massive ramp for Open RAN. You know, we've got about another year to go, but we're starting to see this in terms of RFIs, RFQs coming through now, where pretty much most you know, operators are looking at Open RAN, looking at the competitive pricing and competition, and you know, we can price this thing competitively. Software actually gives you the advantage of doing that. Is it a profitable business? It's a tough business. But you know, you're going to start to see scale of Open RAN really, you know, in terms of deployments. I think starting in about a year's time, and for that chart, you know, there's 790 odd contracts that are going to be renewed in the next 5 years. You know, and I think the message is, look, 6G is going to take a long time to get in the network. People have got a lot of convincing to do with 6G. But the other side of it is they need to upgrade their networks to be 6G ready. And I think, you know, the fact that Open RAN has become the core substance, if you like, or the core architecture for 6G, you know, allows you to put a 6G architecture into place without necessarily having to think about 6G applications and stuff like that. So I think we're right at the front end of it. You know, it's, you know, hopefully we'll see our way through the toughness of this industry at the moment, and you know, we'll see ourselves coming out the other side in about a year's time.
Yeah. And Ori, share something about the challenges you perceive from the projects.
Yeah, so, or maybe opportunities, if I turn it to a positive sense. But maybe just kind of adding on what Sean was telling, that what I think we should do now is to make sure that we are ready for that mass phase of the industry. And from a TIP perspective, we would like to make sure that the industry will work on repeatable solutions. We would share information and knowledge as much as we can, so that as a community we are prepared for that take up when that day comes. Making sure we have deployable blueprints and reducing cost everywhere where we can, and be as efficient as we can. And then work on some tools and methods and processes that you know maybe are missing or are in a weak state at the multi-vendor industry at the moment, like system performance testing and related frameworks on it. So that's something that I hope to bring to the table, and then hopefully help the industry to accelerate.
Yeah, from my echoes. And Jerry?
Yeah, I'd like to address on the TCO side as well. You know, the chips are expensive for the ORAN vendors. As you know, if we look 2-3 years ago, no one believed in ORAN, right? The chip vendors are, you know, either they're pricing us out of the industry, or they don't want to upset their current customers. So we're starting to see that to change, and they're becoming more aggressive on their roadmap. You know, they're addressing the ORAN market. They're coming up with ideas, these silicons that can serve the ORAN industry. So I think with the funding from NOFO 2, for example, it is an excellent opportunity for end of next year or end of 2026, when the contracts needs renewal, to have that ecosystem, have the radios at least address the technical portion. So I think that is a very good move. And I think Taiwan should also do some kind of funding to stimulate competition. You know, competition brings in more innovation.
Yes.
And for the radio costs, of course, the chips, we see that it will start to come down, as MTI has been building macro radios, high power, based out of FPGA. And FPGAs are expensive, and they're a little bit higher power consumption, which somewhat are concerned to certain brownfield. But we have creative ways to bring the power consumption down. So I think that those technical areas we have solution for, and with more volume now coming into ORAN, I believe that we'll be very competitive in terms of cost, and we're already seeing that trend come down. So I think that's a good sign.
Okay. And Jerry, another question to you about the future compatibility or the future richness for the future. What is thinking about if Open RAN compared to some legacy RAN?
In terms of features?
Yes, or yeah.
Yeah, so MTI, we've been trying to keep up with all the mandatory features that are defined by ORAN, but also a lot of the new ones that are coming up, we're addressing a lot of those too. For example, our radios today already support 4G and 5G, and at the same time DSS. Some of the CU/DU vendors are still working on that. We're addressing energy efficiency. We're adding new RF chips. We're adding new PA technologies to bring to improve the overall efficiency. And I think that is important for any brownfield to really consider. The ORAN technology needs to be on par, or at least on par with the incumbents. But from the several major brownfield operators we speak to, they already confirmed that MTI's radio, it's on par or beats the incumbents. For example, I heard someone mentioned MWC Vodafone booth, right? They demonstrated maturity of ORAN, and they showed the incumbents in green and red line, but ORAN performance actually beat the incumbents in a commercial site, or not just one site, a few sites in Spain. So I think that is a very good reference that's not coming from the vendors. It's coming from a brownfield major operator. So that's pretty convincing. So in terms of maturity, they've shown the industry that we're there already.
And the chat?
Yeah, I think I just want to sort of clarify one point as well, because we talk about ORAN and we talk about ORAN specifications, but in reality, the overarching specification set is actually still with 3GPP, which is the specifications have been defining the network for many years, right? So security, for instance, 3GPP has its own, what they call a NISOS framework for testing infrastructure, and we test our products to meet the NISOS requirements of security. So security is a given in the sense of the design, and if you're an accredited 3GPP supplier. Now, ORAN Alliance is setting up additional specifications for zero trust architectures and stuff like that to cover some of the elements, but 3GPP still becomes the overriding specification set, and radio performance, for instance, is governed by 3GPP. So there are no radio performance specs inside ORAN Alliance. There's an interface spec, but as far as the spectral performance of the radio, it's actually out of 3GPP.
Yeah. Okay.
So I just want to clear that one up. That ORAN Alliance is a subset, and it's been adopted into the. The specifications have been adopted in ETSI. But you've got to look at the total portfolio of specifications and processes, and in that sense of the word, nothing has changed from closed RAN to open RAN.
Yeah. And Audi, your view?
Yeah, I agree. I think what in my view what we need to do now is to focus on the acceleration piece and make sure that that we have the opportunities, and at the same time when we develop the global Open RAN industry, I do see a kind of a potential opportunity to also develop some local ecosystems as well, like here in Taiwan with ITRI, so that we ensure that the local ecosystem is vibrant. We have local opportunities, not necessarily only here in Taiwan, but maybe more further around the Indo-Asian region. There's a lot of movement in Southeast Asia, Indonesia, Philippines, that I think should be a target for many US vendors as well as Taiwanese vendors to go after. And somehow making sure that we capitalize on these opportunities also in a global sense, that there will be sharing we do necessarily blueprints and we learn all across the board. I think is the kind of a key success factor what we have to focus on.
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to add on. What I see in my travels is actually Open RAN is being used as a new initiative, if you like, on a country-by-country basis to reinvigorate their telecommunications community.
Yeah.
The fact that you don't need to be an end-to-end supplier to participate in Open RAN. I'm seeing a lot more startup companies, and that ecosystem slide really demonstrates it. That ecosystem slide, the number of vendors keeps growing on a country-by-country basis. Nothing's going away. Nobody's died yet in this process, so that shows the strength of the belief behind Open RAN, and then the investment from all of the countries and that's going in. And I think I calculated there's probably about $2.5 billion to date of government money gone into supporting Open RAN and the Open RAN initiatives on a global basis.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need a long-term plan. But for the talent development and the local industry, I think it's definitely needed.
Yeah. Okay. Dr. Jia, for the software-defined solution or approach or a cloud-based approach, what's the thinking from your side?
Oh, yes. Right now, Chunghwa Telecom has only built traditional RAN, and we will try to have some vRAN and Cloud RAN in the future, I think. But for 5G, Chunghwa Telecom has launched 5G for 4 years, so the equipment right now can use. So if we would change that, the capacity was too high.
Yeah.
So maybe I think 4 or 5 years that we will change and to move to the vCloud and the Cloud RAN.
Okay.
I think it's a point of Chunghwa.
Yes. Thank you. And the chair?
Yeah, and I'm going to say, the thing I always say is, look, Open RAN is an evolution, it's not a revolution. And, it's, operators have invested all the equipment in the ground today, and when contracts expire and, new upgrades, new frequency bands, that's really the opportunity for Open RAN. It's not out, there's no rush in a sense from an operator perspective to go out there and replace everything with Open RAN. It doesn't, that's madness, it doesn't make business sense.
Yes.
Yeah. So in turn, I think just want to make one quick comment on the on the incumbent or the single vendor ORAN approach. I think it's sorry to say this, John, but it's okay. It's okay to go with single vendor because you want one SI to kind of put everything together. But I think a lot of the brownfields now they're before they're renewing their next contract, they at least put in a few third-party apps in there. Not just apps or components. So I think what Open RAN will bring is all these open interfaces enabling all these RIC applications that I think the incumbents are probably still pretty locked in, right? So I think that's one part. John would probably be the expert on that.
And I need to add a comment to that. It's like there's single vendor solutions, but they need to be single vendor Open RAN solutions, where Open RAN has been demonstrated in terms of interoperability has been demonstrated on each network function. Right. Today, certain vendors are using single vendor as a way of selling more of what they've got, right? And I'll leave it at that. And but the requirement in terms of from a procurement perspective is, look, I can have a single vendor. We act as a single vendor in a lot of the network today, doing the integration work, but it's using fully tested, proven, open and interoperable equipment. And that's the buying method, if you like, and that's the way to leverage the price down as well, basically.
Yeah. And Ori, your comments?
Yeah, so I do agree, and actually maybe the single vendor approach can be a kind of a good initial step towards Open RAN if it's done properly. And that might strategically, give you advantage as a service provider to then, swap out certain parts of your network if you need to. I honestly think the challenges in that space, whether it's multi-vendor, single vendor, is more of a business process related issues than technological.
Yeah.
So how do you order? How do you price? How do you who is responsible of the network KPIs and support arrangements and things like that? And how do you maintain this long-lasting roadmap of features and and kind of a SI or CI/CD development pipeline. However, all of those issues have been actually solved. If you look at the enterprise IT environment, for example, they are solved actually very well there, and with a massive supplier diversity and different cost point than previously, bought from IBM. So I think it can be replicated. It can actually be done in radio access networks as well.
Yeah, and you raised a point I was just going to jump on. That in reality, it's the vision of where this is going, right? And NTIA through ATIS has a program of minimum viable product or minimum viable interfaces already going, and really this industry now is moving towards plug and play, right? And that's where we've got to get this to, is really behaving like the internet is today, where I can buy fully accredited, fully approved products off the shelf, plug it together, and it works. Right, all this system integration is, yes, there's a lot of noise about system integration today, but in reality that should all disappear in the long term, right? And it really should come down to sort of plug and play. It works first time, and I remember the days when I bought the first cable modem and or my first Wi-Fi interface card, and all the problems I had with getting it to work. But I think the the wireless industry's got to go through that pain, if you like, to really get to the next part of the vision of really making it true plug and play.
Yeah. Jeff, do you believe cloud-based solution could resolve some system integration issue? Yes, to John and to you.
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
If we use a cloud-based approach, right? I think the system integration will become less important.
Absolutely, yeah. I think we're seeing a lot of this today. We know we can take an MTI radio today and just go straight to the field and plug it in, and it'll work, right? And that's actually what it's going to come down to. And if you look at the pieces, the only custom-specific part now in the network is the radio, right? Everything else is standard off-the-shelf IT industry products in terms of compute, optical fiber cables. There's nothing in there anymore that's custom hardware, essentially.
Well, the radio is custom in a sense that only so many radios are available today. We'll get to the point where we have the band combination that the brownfields are looking for. Then at that point, that becomes off-the-shelf hardware as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is the cloud-based solution, the source code is open to the operator to the buyer, or is the privacy?
I struggle with actually this whole discussion of private versus public, and in reality, it's all about scalability of the software elements, and back to some of the issues. I think you're seeing potentially people struggling from a quality perspective, if you like, because the test tools, as I say, all focus at happy testing.
Yeah.
Right. Show me a test equipment manufacturer that gives me a negative test set that can tear my product to pieces and really prove what's wrong with my product. Yes, anybody can pass an ORAN specification and say, "Yep, I've met all the specification requirements."
Oh.
But you flip the power switch twice and toggle the software such that it gets corrupted or something like that. Then what happens? They're the problems that need addressing, and I think that's a great opportunity for. We're happy to share what we've got in terms of all the test regime, test procedures and everything else, and to help people through this pain.
Okay. Ori, do you have some comment?
Yeah. Well, I think the private and public network solutions might differ a little bit on the feature set, range of feature set you have to support, but I actually think also some of the private network solutions are like a fresh air to some of the public solutions as well. Like if you think about, for example, factory deployments, industrial deployments, where actually the telecom connectivity is on a lesser role, but it just has to work from a flip of a switch, and there cannot be any downtime, and it's like a trusted conduit that you run your operations on, without a massive technical telecommunications support team. And I think we can learn also from certain private network deployments on a public side greatly, where we might have been stuck on a different network deployment processes or operations processes that has been designed 30 years ago. But
Okay. Yeah. Next question, maybe to Jerry first. If the scale is coming, or even we see AT&T or coming NTT, Docomo, they are moving faster, right? So for sure they will have a large order purchasing, okay? Do you see what's the challenge or how you can catch up this kind of opportunity to enter those large operator to share the pie?
Well, first of all, we would like to get those orders. That's no doubt. And John brought this up. You know, the supply chain that goes into this and the financing that's required to, you know, to deploy at that kind of scale. Even I'm a little bit worried, but I think that's a good problem to have. You know, when we do get those big contracts, I think we'll probably need some financial support from the industry or from the banks, you know, who is able to give us the loan. But I think, you know, ORAN vendors will have to figure that part out. But we would love to get those orders. That's for sure.
Yeah, but how to win? You really win the order from AT&T. Are you confident?
Well, the technical aspect of that, the radios, right? We know we can build the radios they need,
Okay.
right? And I think it's the challenge in that one is, I hope this doesn't, you know, spread too far, but it's if Ericsson really opens up, right, to integrate, right? And I think the world's watching, right? If they deliver by the end of this year to be able to integrate, you know, true Open RAN, then our radio's ready, right? We can deliver the radio to them tomorrow.
But yeah,
right?
to run supply already, right? AT&T.
Yeah, I don't know all the details, but hopefully, you know, when they're ready to integrate, you know, we're ready, right? Because we're integrated with more than 8 CUDUs. If the integration doesn't work, like, you know, who's Open RAN, who's not?
Yeah.
Like, we'll see.
Yeah. Then Japan.
Oh yeah, Japan, and I'm not too worried. I think the Japanese government is on top of it.
Yeah. And Oli, how do you think, as this small, I was just small vendor, how they can win or how they can enter?
So, okay, I don't want to comment on specific companies, and I don't know if MTI is that small on the radio space, but yeah, it is a challenge. Obviously, this is a no matter how you look at it. So, radio access networks is a scale business. So we just can't go over that fact, and you know, for us to really make a diverse supplier base. We do need some incentives and help for individual companies to be able to make that. You know, opportunities that they can capture with you know, new technology plays like Open RAN, but then also financial support that they are able to execute. And you know, I don't know if Jono.
Yeah,
you know, I always talk about other suppliers. People know me too well. I think you know, the message really is, look, you know, we need to stick to the guns of having open and interoperable networks and proving that vendors are honouring open and interoperability. And I think, you know, the certification process in the ORAN Alliance is still taking some sorting out, but you know, we need a global certification process that's really truly recognised that the product is plug and play.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, there's still got some teething problems in getting that sorted out within the ORAN Alliance. But, you know, I think for a change, the power is back with the operator, right? If the operators, purchasing people now take the advantage and start leveraging Open RAN in the equation, then you know, they will no longer be being pushed into a corner or leveraged into a corner with the incumbents, and that's the majority of the reason why, you know, operators started this initiative in the first place. You know, you have to remember, this is an operator-led initiative. It's not a vendor-led initiative, right? So but as vendors, we're benefiting obviously from that opportunity.
Yeah.
So, the one thing, and I'm not sure what time we've got, but I'm hoping at the end of this session we get a thumbs up, not a thumbs in the middle or thumbs down. So I'm looking for that thumbs up from everybody as a way forward.
Yeah. For the ecosystem partnership, John, can you share something for our guests?
Yeah, I think from an ecosystem perspective, really it's it's the initiatives of the vendors now to really get involved in that. Somehow I've picked up the challenge of keeping this ecosystem chart updated, and I try to do it once a month. But people contact me and say, look, we're a new supplier, and we've done this, we've done that. And we hold I hold a very strict reference in there that you've got to somehow show somewhere that you've done some open interoperability testing. You can't come as a vendor and say, okay, well I've got my DU, for instance, but I've not tested it with anybody because it won't end up on the chart. It's like it's really holding people's feet to the fire that they've done open and interoperable testing. They've participated in. You can do that through participating in the Open RAN plug fests. If there's an operator that sees a good company that's got a good product, then point them in. From having it from that perspective, if there's a right business opportunity there, we'll integrate with whoever we need to integrate with, and we're constantly watching technology. And the one thing that's really sort of come out from behind of this whole ecosystem is that in the 6 years, effectively, that we've been really sort of solidly focused at projects. We've gone through 3 cycles of processors from Intel, in a sense. So from an operator perspective, that's a 6 times capacity gain that's happened from day one when we started to where we are today. And that's the other advantage that this whole cost discussion. At one point in time it may be too high, but then wait 2 years and it'll be half the price. Because of the things that Intel and others are doing to improving technology. Because the ecosystem is actually leveraging every single company's R&D budget. And if you sum up the total of all those individual R&D budgets, that's probably 2-3 times greater than the R&D budgets of Nokia and Ericsson, Huawei put together. And that's the advantage to the ecosystem, that you've got that leverage of technology investment and innovation that's going on in the ecosystem.
Okay. Dr. Jia.
Yes, and as an operator point of view, we would like to use the cost-effective and the reliability product in our network. So right now, in Chunghwa Telecom point of view, we will use the legacy traditional RAN in commercial public network, like Ericsson and Nokia. And we will use 5G, Taiwan 5G over RAN product in the private network. But I think in the future, maybe the pricing will go later, and the function will much more better. We will try to use Taiwan 5G or RAN in public network. Okay. But I think in the future, it should be in the future, I think. Thank you.
It takes time.
Hopefully we can change that opinion.
And Oli, some comment?
Yeah, so I've been very, very impressed for the Taiwanese ecosystem for years, and I think what we saw from Avenir's or John's presentation, if we would make it proportional to a country size or industry size, I think Taiwan is clearly the most active Open RAN ecosystem here locally. TIP is extremely proud to work with the Taiwanese ecosystem. We see a lot of opportunities for US companies as well as our international community to work very closely with ITRI and the Taiwanese suppliers and service providers. And we definitely want to strengthen the collaboration and invest more here, not just to create opportunities for US-based companies, but also make sure that we also offer opportunities for the local Taiwanese companies to widen their space and produce or create the scale a successful companies will need in this industry.
Okay. Jerry? Yeah.
Yeah, I think ecosystem is what ORAN is all about, right? With the ecosystem, we have innovation. And MTI not only work with CUDU vendors, we actually work with all the innovations out there, including antenna technology, beamforming, and all sorts. And of course, our list is not as big as John's, but you know, we're also emphasizing on the partnership with the ecosystem as well. And a message to Dr. Jha, you know, that future could be today, right? You know, we're here.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, we see the Open really is coming. Okay, we can see it. You know, not only seeing it happening. Okay, it's happening, and like the large operator, tier 1 operator, they are moving to this direction, and I believe it's coming. Yeah. So now everyone give 1 or 2 words as an ending. Dr. Jha.
I hope 5G Taiwan ORAN can successful. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, I thank Taiwan for hosting this event, and I look, I see the energy coming from Taiwan. Really appreciate the investments that are coming in, and hopefully Taiwan will demonstrate very, very soon that is a strong competitor in the macro network.
Yeah. Yeah. Oli?
Yeah, we've been extremely happy with the work here in Taiwan. ITRI is our great partner and our community lab here, and we want to strengthen that relationship to a new level.
Okay. And Jerry?
It's a great honor to be here, and thank you all for coming out to Taiwan. Hopefully, you'll all enjoy your stay in Taiwan. Yeah,
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
There and the passion bring us to the success. Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you very much to our moderator and panelists. We invite you to take a group photo on the stage. Thumbs up. Thank you very much. Thumbs up for the panel. Thank you for your engaging and insightful discussion. Let's give them another round of applause. Thank you very much.